Welcome to Get Motivated with Donato Parisi, a show designed to reach you where you are, focusing on the fact that you can be anything you want and desire. All you have to do is get motivated. If you need a challenge in your life, then look no further. Get Motivated with Donato begins now.
Welcome back, everyone, to Get Motivated with Donato. So very excited that today we can have somebody real special with us, and it's Andre Notice. Hopefully I'm saying your last name right there.
You got it, man. You got it. Plain and simple.
All right. So, yeah, one of the exciting things that I think is way cool is that we were in the book together, right? The Greatness in You book.
That's
So
it.
if you guys haven't gone out and gotten this yet, you need to. It's so impactful. There's Andre's picture. And I don't know if you knew this or realized this, man, but your chapter is literally right after mine.
I didn't know that. I didn't recognize.
Yep. So that's kind of funny, I thought. But all right. So welcome to Andre. And here we are, man. So good to be with you. And just so everyone else also knows, keep on the lookout because together, Andre and I are going to be doing a book of our own. So look forward to that. There'll be more to come on that at a future date. But Andre, just introduce yourself to us.
Awesome. Okay, great. First of all, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your platform. I am excited to be here. This is awesome. This is great. I just want to provide some value. But for those who do not know who I am the rhyming realtor for your dream home. When you need to buy or sell, I am the purpose coach for those that feel like they're going through hell. I am the speaker here to motivate, encourage, and inspire. I am a poet as well. I grab the mic to spit bars of fire. This book that I wrote, well, it's changing lives as well. A servant is what I am on a mission to serve and not sell. So when it's all said and done, I help others reach their full potential by helping them find their purpose. To find true joy is essential. So again, Andre Notice is my name, and inspiration is who I be. It is true, I live to give, and you will notice me.
That's awesome, man. So, do you want to tell us a little bit first about that book that you just popped up there? Because
yeah, sure. So this book is called Your Purpose Is Not For You. If you can see it there. God gave me the title to this book about 6 years ago, and I didn't put any pen to the paper until 2021. And I procrastinated, didn't know what to do, where to get started, but he birthed it in me. And I realized that I had a lot of the answers to people's questions regarding life, regarding what they should be doing, what they could be doing for fulfillment, for enjoyment, for happiness, for a sense of peace. I had a lot of those questions. And when something is in you, when you start the process to get it out of you, it comes pretty simple. And that's what I did. So this book really isn't about me. It's about getting the word out so people can understand that they were created for a specific purpose. And if you don't know what that is, then your life can very well be very unfulfilling. And you can fall into so many different traps because you're trying to fill that void. And the only way you can fill that void is with God's love and with you walking into your own purpose.
that's right. That's so good, man. So you got that book. We got this book here. Were you in any other books?
Yeah. So I actually have another book. Let's see if I can get it for you.
We're just plugging books, everyone, real quick.
Yeah, this is another book called Black Man Unmuted. That's another book with Les Brown, myself, and a few other authors that I'm excited about. And I have a chapter in that book as well. So I'm excited about those books as well as the one I have coming up with you. So yeah, just working.
So you said Les was in that book also?
Correct.
Nice. That was so awesome how, we got to meet Les, what was it, a month or so ago now?
Yeah.
It was just such an honor. And then, meeting Martin Luther King the third, I guess, right?
Right.
I mean, that's just, I mean, for me, it was just amazing. I don't even know how to even put that into words. I mean, just what do you think about that? I mean,
It's one of those things that I believe is surreal. Like you don't even
yeah,
believe that
exactly.
that's that moment until even after it happens. It's like, did that really happen? It's one of those moments.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was just amazing. His dad was, so impactful in things, right?
Yep.
Now he's leading a charge maybe in a different way, but still in the same vein, and bringing people together, and it's just so important. I think that.
Oh yeah.
That
In times like
just
this, of course, 100%.
Yep, exactly. So that brings us to kind of a round of questioning, if you will. Um, just the first icebreaker question. What I kind of like to ask everybody is, from your own perspective, what does getting motivated or get motivated, which is the title of the show, what does that mean to you?
Inspiration. It's what you need, the driving force mentally to prepare you for what it is that you want to do to take action for what you want. But I caution when I say that because it's good to have motivation to act, but you don't want to rely on motivation to act. And what I mean by that is sometimes there comes a time to where you need to be able to learn how to motivate yourself. So it's good to have
Mhm.
motivation, but you also want to learn how to self motivate so you can take
Right.
action regardless if you have outside motivation or not.
That's good. That's good. So let's get into the book a little bit here, the Greatness in You book that we were in together, and talk a little bit about the chapter in it, because this book was really unique, I thought, because it got a bunch of us together from all areas of life, right, or all walks of life, however you want to say it, and we're all sharing our stories, and we all have different unique perspectives, different things that happen to us. um I like how you kind of phrased life in a sense, right? So in the book you talk about life, and I want you to explain it to us, because you said it from a different perspective, where it's kind of like a game or a test. So tell us a little bit more about that from your viewpoint.
Yeah, I think it's both a game and a test, depending on how you look at it. And then not only is it a test, it's one big test compiled of smaller tests. And to the degree that you don't pass the test, you're going to repeat it until you get it and get it right. So I really believe that most people keep going through life, going through cycles, and they're not able to break the cycle because they haven't passed the test. And it's unfortunate because they don't realize that when you go through a trial or a tribulation or a circumstance or a situation, it's your duty, obligation, and responsibility to learn from that situation and grow from it so that you don't have to return to it and so that you can help somebody else get through that same or similar circumstance. So life is a test.
That's so true. That's all good. Like, not just an opinion, but reality, right?
Yeah.
Because all of those things are valid. Like, we go through all of these things, and they make us stronger, they make us better, or they're
Yeah.
supposed to, right, if we learn from them properly. And then it's just like, I was preaching a message, actually, and in that, it's not just for us, kind of like what you mentioned. It's for others. you
Yep.
know we can teach others based on the things that we've gone through. you know
100%. I agree. And it's also a game. Like a young man that grows up or a young woman that grows up playing sports, you can relate so much to life based on what you learn in sports. So that's why I say it's also a game. And
Mhm.
if you learn to play the game well in the game itself, basketball, football, golf, what have you, then you can be better equipped to play life. But I like to look at it as a team sport because you're going to have people and individuals on your team, and then you're going to have others that are opposing your team. So I like to look at it as a team sport.
And it's interesting that you say that, because that is so true. I mean, we need each other, but at the same time, we need the right people. And
Yeah.
you talked about that a little bit in the book too. So give us that viewpoint on the relationship, and I like how you said it, because you talked about it in relation to math. So it was just kind of a catchy phrase or saying. And so say that for us, and explain it to us, though, so we get a good understanding about it, because I think it's a good message that we need to really understand.
Yeah, of course. So for years, I've been saying that I've learned, I've had to learn, and I have learned that I treat relationships like math. So if a person is not in my life to add or to multiply, then I have to do the math and divide and subtract. So it just goes along the lines of being able to understand that those people that you allow into your life, if they're not giving to you, if they're not adding towards you, if it's not a give and take relationship, unless you're mentoring that person or pastoring that person or teaching that person, if it's not one of those areas, it should be a give and take relationship. It should be to where you're both mutually benefiting from that relationship. But if one person's always doing the giving and one person's always doing the taking, that is not a mutual benefit. And at that point, it's your responsibility to let that relationship die, move on, and make sure that you find other individuals that are going where you're going, have the same mindset, have a similar mindset or a similar way of how they think about doing life, so that you can go together and grow together.
So I love what you said there, because it's so true. And I actually talk about these same types of things, where we need to like remove the negative people from our lives, right? And it's not a popular thing, or maybe even a common thing that people talk about, but it's a necessity, where we shouldn't be brought down by people, right? It's kind of like what you were saying, right? We need to have those positive, or add those people into our lives that are beneficial, and remove or subtract, as you say, the negative people, right? Because who wants anybody that brings them down all the time, right?
Yeah, right, right.
But so often we do those things because, I don't know, we just know a person for so long, or whatever, and but they're not bringing any benefit or value, and it's not like we need to totally, I don't know, cut them out in a sense, but to some degree you need to, right? You got to be like, hey, I'm moving up. You can choose to come with me and start, getting your act together, or I'm gonna leave you behind. And it's those things aren't necessarily an easy conversation to have, or an easy thing to think about or to do. But if we're going to grow, if we're going to learn, if we're going to become better, and like we were talking about being motivated, right?
Yep.
Then how are you going to be motivated to get up off the couch if somebody is sitting on the couch with you, bringing you down the whole time?
Oh yeah.
Right? So I thought that was good anyway. But so you talk about in the book too, and I think goes along with all of what we're talking about here, about failing in life. I mean, it's a real thing, right? We all
Yeah.
fail,
Oh yeah.
but we need to learn and we need to grow. You talk about that, so help us to understand that a little better. Give us some insight there and some encouragement, like how do we get better?
Yeah, great question. So when it comes to failing, I want people to understand that you're not a failure because you fail. That's a part of the process. You only become a failure when you give up. So just because you hit a hard bump in the road and you failed or you've fallen, that's okay. That's part of the process. You can't name an individual that has not failed in some area or some aspect of life. What if you think about it like this, and I'll use this analogy. Let's say you have a child. You're a parent now, your first child, and your child is now to the age where they're learning to walk. How many times is that child going to get up, try to walk, and fall down before you just tell that child, "Hey man, just quit, just stop,
Yeah,
just
right.
just cut it off. You're done. You fell too many times. Just stop." It sounds crazy, right?
Yep.
But in life, there's no different. You're learning to walk. You're crawling, learning to walk so that you can run. You can't get there without stumbling
Right.
and wobbling and using your hands a little and falling down and getting back up. It's the nature of trying to get to where you're trying to go. So keep that in mind as you're going throughout life and throughout business of that baby. You should never tell that child to give up on learning how to walk because they were meant to walk. Just like that child was meant to walk so it can run and jump and enjoy the fruits of their limbs, you were made to succeed so that you can enjoy the fruits of your labor. So you never give up. You just keep on going, just keep on trucking. It doesn't mean that it's easy, but it means that it's possible. And success is saved for the strong. So if you really want it, then the question is, how bad do you really want it? Do you want it bad enough to make an adjustment or just make an excuse?
Mm,
Because you can have reasons or you can have results. You can't have both.
that's true.
Choice is
That's good.
yours.
Yeah, oh, that's good. And this whole topic here, it reminds me too of when I was growing up working at McDonald's of all places. One of the things that I latched onto was a saying from Ray Kroc, and it was, "When you're green, you're growing. When you ripe, you rot."
Mm.
And it's so true because and I've tried to use that kind of in a sense as a motivator, right? Where I'm always trying to learn, I'm always trying to grow, I'm always trying to better myself, right? And to get better at whatever it is that I'm doing. So, I mean, what you're saying, makes total sense. And it like, wow, why don't we realize and think about those things a little bit more? Because your analogy was perfect. We're a child growing up, we're gonna stumble, we're gonna fall. The key is to get back up again, right?
And again, and
And
again.
again, and again, and again, right? Yeah. And what's that one saying? Les Brown says,
If
if you
you
can look
fall
up, you
down,
can
try
get
to
up.
land on your back. Because if you
Yeah,
can look up, you can get up.
that's right. So and that's the key. That's the thing, man. We need to keep moving forward. We are gonna stumble, we are gonna fall, but we need to get back up. And then having the right people around us, right, to help us get back up.
Absolutely. Because if you look at that child, if they have brothers and sisters that are anywhere older than them, they're not always going to let that child just fall and leave them there. They're gonna walk over there and grab that child by the hand, or you might do it yourself. Grab that child by
Mhm.
both hands and hold them steady and try to make them move one step and that step. It doesn't always have to learn by yourself. You're not in this life by yourself. We
That's
are
right.
not independent beings. We were not created to be independent beings. We are co-dependent beings, which means we rely on each other.
Mm, that's so good. That's so true. And that making them walk like you were just doing, I was doing that to my grandson not too long
There
ago.
it is. There it is. That's the process. It's the
Yep.
process. And that's okay.
Yep. So, the other thing that really took me about your chapter, and I think it's an important lesson for us to all learn. Maybe not all of us the same way, like the experience that you had, and I'll let you share if you want to on that. But the result is being humbled, right? And at the same time, even though we're humbled, even though we fail, we have that place where we take a step back or whatever. It's not giving up, which was, your key message there, not giving up on the dream. And, share a little something about that to give us some encouragement, because I think that's so important that we all need to get a grasp on these things.
So without getting too deep into the word, there's a scripture that says, without dreams and visions, people perish.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important to understand that there is not one thing on this earth that you can point to that did not start with an idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's use the chair that I'm sitting on, perhaps. This chair, I'm sitting on a chair right now. I'm not standing up. Before this chair became a chair, it was first an idea in someone's mind. It was a dream. And then somebody took that idea and they acted upon it. And thus we have the chair. Now look what happened. First they had an idea, then they had to take that idea and they had to add another I to it. Implementation. They had to implement. And because they implemented that dream, now we have that dream manifested. Now, the important thing to remember is the fact that because they implemented on that dream and they created the chair, guess who gets to benefit? Everybody else.
Right.
So because one person had an idea and they acted on that idea, so many people gets to benefit, and then they get to benefit financially. So my point is, whatever dream that you have, it's not just for you. How many other individuals are suffering because you're holding on to your dream? It's not for you to have. So you're actually being selfish by not doing that which you were called and purposed to do. So whatever dream that you have, I encourage you to know that it's yours to have. The benefit is yours to have, to be able to be fulfilled. But you have to do the work. You have to take that first step. You have to take that idea and then implement it so that we can all benefit from what you have, your brainchild manifested. And you can do it.
That's so good, man. And that's so true. And I want to say, is that a vision board behind you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So right there is a prime example, right?
Yep.
You gotta put that dream out there. And, I'm sure you do that as part of your coaching program.
Yep.
It's part of what I do too. And, you got to get whoever it is, right? Whoever you are out there, you got to write those things down.
Yep.
You got to put them on that vision board. And you quoted a scripture, and it's just like it, because there's another scripture that says,
Habakkuk 2.
Make it plain upon tablet, right? So that when you can see it when you're running past.
Habakkuk 2. Yeah, I got them all memorized, man. Trust me, I live this.
Yep. And that's what you got to do. I mean, otherwise it's for naught, right? You can sit on the couch all day long thinking, oh, I should go do this, I should go do that. Well, if you don't get up, if you don't put some action to it, right? Write it down, put it on the wall, do, all those things like you've got right there. And that's it. I mean, plain and simple, right?
But that's the thing, though. What you just stated, you said, because what we're talking about, a lot of people call it the law of attraction, right? Mm-hmm. Which is cool. If you want to call it that, I have no problem with that. But then I have to raise the question to you. The law of attraction, there's a word in there. There's a word attract, but then there's another word in there, action. Yep. The last word of attraction is action. So you can't attract if you don't act.
That's true.
The word is in the manifestation itself. Mm-hmm. So you can do all the dreaming, all the visualizing, all the goal writing, all the planning. You can do all of that. But if you don't take your hands and your feet and move them into a forward direction, you get nothing. Because faith
Right.
without works is what?
Dead.
Dead. So you got to get to moving.
Yep. Yep. Well, that actually goes to another one, and it takes back a little bit to what we were talking about before. So the scriptures, life and death is in the power of the tongue.
Yep.
Right.
Proverbs. Mm-hmm.
And we've got to have the right words coming out of our mouth, right?
Oh yeah.
Need those positive affirmations,
Oh yeah.
encourage us, to motivate us, to get us to take action, right? So maybe a little bit, this all goes along with your 5 A's. Do you want to share a little bit about that with us here?
Yeah, sure. So in the book, they didn't get the title on there, but the title was supposed to be it's how to break the cycle, and it's Andre's 5 A's to bigger, better, brighter days. And I won't give you all 5 A's because you got to get the book, but the very first A to break the cycle, to change from where you are to where you want to be. I believe the very first step to change is awareness. Because how can you change a situation or a circumstance that you're unaware of? You can't. It's not possible. You have to be aware of not only the situation, but aware of where you are in the situation to change it. So that's the very first A. And then a second A from there, once you're aware of the situation, aware of where you are, then you move on to the second A. And I believe that the second step in you changing, breaking the cycle and changing to where you want to be is accountability or acceptance. You have to be able to take accountability and accept that I am where I am right now because of me. Regardless of your past, I know you might have went through something traumatic. I understand things happen. It doesn't mean that you haven't been a victim of some circumstance. Yes, that could have been, but many times we are a victim of our own selves, because oftentimes there is something that we could have done to change our outcome. And if it is a situation that you had no control over, then it's your responsibility to learn to grow from that.
Right.
It doesn't mean that you accept it and say and utilize it as an excuse. No, it means you learn to let it go and not hinder you from moving forward. Because if you keep harping on it and keep going back to it, what you're doing is you're trying to go forward by looking backwards, and that's not going to work. You can't. How far can you get driving and you're looking in the rearview mirror before you crash?
Yeah.
You're not going to get anywhere. So my point is that second A is acceptance. You have to be able to take accountability for where you are and say, hey, I'm right here because of me, and only I can change the situation. Because if you're not putting it upon yourself, then you're putting it on somebody or something else. And whatever you're pointing the finger at has the power. So if you're blaming your father has the power. If you're blaming a circumstance, that circumstance has the power. It's not until you say that I am where I am because of me that you can change it, because then you're taking back the power and saying, I can change this.
And that's so good. I mean, that accountability, that acceptance, all of those things we got to take a look at, right? I mean, I feel like you read my chapter and you were quoting from it almost, because a lot of it was the same type of things I was talking about. It's playing the cards you're dealt, and it's, I share a little bit of, my story growing up in Gary, Indiana, one of the hardest places in all of America, and all of those things that I've gone through in my life. I could have, like you said, pointed the finger at those situations and not done anything about it.
Right.
But I chose to take responsibility. I chose to be accountable. I chose to not let those circumstances hinder me, right? To learn from them, to grow from them, and then to exceed, and move forward. yeah, they help shape who you are, right? You can't change your past, but you have some responsibility on or obligation to make your future better, right?
You said
So,
something that was so powerful, though. You said not let. What that indicates right there is choice.
mm-hmm,
You choose to allow a circumstance to take power over you. You choose to allow another individual to remain powerful over you. Initially, it may not be your fault, but if you
right,
stay there, it's upon you to change the situation. You
right,
can only blame them for so long. At
mm-hmm,
some point, it's on you. And you have to realize that you have the power to change. It's choice. It really is a choice.
it is. You're absolutely right, and you can't just sit there and let it, you know, bring you down, right? You gotta get up, like Les says. If you can look up, get up, right?
Yep.
And do something about it. So sometimes easier said than done,
True.
right? I mean, there's stuff that happens to all of us, and I think we're fully aware of those things, right? Because when we started this part of the topic, we were talking about humility, and I don't know about you, but I've been humbled a number of different times myself, you know. And that's the thing. We gotta learn from that, and hopefully when we learn from that, it gives us a different perspective. So then again, we're going full circle. We can help somebody else out, right? We're not
Oh yeah.
selfish. We're helping out other people from the things that we learned.
Agreed. 100%.
So I don't know. Do you have any of those kind of stories that you want to share with us right now?
Yeah, I don't mind sharing. Part of my story, for those that do not know, we all have a story. We all have something that we've been through that we wish we did not go through. But when you look back at it, sometimes you're grateful that you did go through it because it made you stronger. It made you who you are at this particular moment. So though I didn't like it at the time and I was tired at the time, I can look back and say, hey, I can say that I was able to experience that. I know what it's like. I've learned from it, and now I can help somebody else there. So, um, my quick story of from what I went through is after deciding to go full time in entrepreneurship in 2012, I found myself evicted from my apartment, and then I was going house to house to house for 3 years, sleeping on couches, sleeping on chairs, sleeping on the floor, wherever I could. And the last 3 months of those 3 years, I was finally able to get a car. And then when my dad kicked me out, I was actually sleeping in my car and all while selling homes. So here I am, a realtor selling homes, and I got no home. How that happened? But at the
Mhm.
same time, I had a dream that I didn't want to let die. And even though I had the opportunity to get a job earning six figures, I I gladly, not reluctantly, I gladly turned it down. I said, no, I can't go back to where I just came from. I don't want I didn't want to work for somebody else. It just wasn't in my because I knew if I did that, even though I might be better financially at that moment, I'd be selling my soul because it wasn't what I wanted. And I knew that I wouldn't be happy. And, turn around X amount of years later, I've been winning awards and being recognized and for selling homes and doing this and that. So it's literally been life changing just because I decided that I wasn't going to go back or give up on my dream. I was going to follow through and I was going to persist and I was going to be resilient until I reached that which I really wanted, which was my financial freedom, which my freedom of my time, which is to be able to earn what I set in my mind to earn so that nobody can tell me what I'm worth, so that nobody can tell me when to get up. Nobody can tell me when to take a break, when to get off. I didn't want those things for myself. I don't knock anybody else for having a job, but it wasn't what I wanted for myself. And I saw more for myself. So
That's
yeah.
good. No, that's so true. I mean, I share a lot of those same like viewpoints and opinions too, and it is. It's so hard to do a lot of those things that you said, but to work for somebody else, to, be stuck to a certain schedule. Having that freedom and that liberty is a great thing. But it's interesting though that you're actually turning down work. Now, I don't think a lot of people necessarily understand that. I've done that probably a time or two myself.
Yeah.
But I don't know, share some of those thoughts or why you would do those kinds of things. I mean, you kind of mentioned it, like you don't want to sell your soul, right? And that's important. But for people out there that are struggling, and why, give us a reason, give us some hope, give us some encouragement or something to understand why should I give up this opportunity? Why should I not do this, but do this instead?
So first of all, I think it's important to understand that when I decided to turn that job down so I could continue chasing what I wanted, I think it's important to understand that I wasn't providing for anybody else but myself. Right. So what I mean by that is if I had a family, if I had kids, then I would have taken that job. Even though I didn't want it, even though it's not what I saw for myself, I would have at least taken it for a time being to take care of my responsibilities, which are those that are under my household and my care. But because I was only taking care of me, then I decided that I was going to stick it out. So I want to make that clear. So I'm not saying that if you have a family, chase your dream and don't worry about taking care of your responsibilities. That's completely different. So I want to make that clear first. And then the next thing is understand that when it comes to your dream and your goals, it's supposed to be difficult. If it was that easy, anybody would do it. We value success. We value people obtaining their dreams. Why is that? Because most people don't. So that means that it's valuable. But how valuable would it be if everybody did it? It would not be valuable. So you set yourself apart when you have a dream, when you have those goals, and you're doing whatever that you have to do to obtain them and achieve them without doing things that are legal or against your morals and your values. When you're doing those things and you're persistent and consistent, then when you do obtain it, it's that much more bliss. It's that much more fulfilling feeling. And you're that much more grateful for it because you knew that you had to go through some things to get there. And there are always other individuals that are watching your journey. They may or may not know the specifics, but they're watching what you're doing. They're watching what you're going through and how you handle it. So it's also very important to understand and to point out that you want to go through these hard times with grace. The moment that I realized that I was going to work and I was no longer myself, I was out of my own character, is when I realized I wasn't supposed to be there anymore. This is not for me. Because I can no longer be myself in that environment. It was time for me to step away. So there are some things that will arise as you're on your journey that will show you to yourself if you're paying attention. So if you're on a journey right now where you're trying to find out, should you continue your dream? The answer is yes, but sometimes you have to take a detour. Sometimes you have to take a break. Sometimes you have to do something different just for a time frame. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do until you're able to do what you want to do. So it's about knowing and learning and understanding that there is a time and a place for everything. And though you are meant to succeed, know that it's a journey and you have to learn how to plan your work and then work that plan. I'm going to say that again. Plan your work and then work that plan. And once you work that plan and things aren't working the way you want them to, then you may need to go back and make some adjustments and then try something different. It's literally a process of trial and error. It's literally a process of elimination, because you don't always know what's going to work. You don't always know what's going to not work. All you can do is try and keep trying and putting it all out there on the line, and knowing that no matter what, you did your best and you gave it all you could. But make sure that you're doing things that are in alignment with who you are, in alignment with your gifts, your talents, with what God put you on this earth to do. And when all else fails, know that you have somebody here to help you, and that's me. I got your back. And that's why I'm the purpose coach.
There you go. All right. Well, and we're going to have, information below too for everyone in the description, so you can check out more about Andre here as well, and get in touch with him. But, a lot of what you said, like consistency, right? There's like a balance to be had. You're not, giving up on like the things that make you who you are, you were even talking about. And all of those things are so vital for really a healthy relationship, a balance,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That we need to understand. Like, it's I think it's easy for people to realize, we live in a physical body, right? Like, you go to the gym, you go to the doctor, you do all those types of things, and you're taking care of yourself in a sense, right? But are you taking the time to take care of your mind,
Right.
right?
Right.
Are you taking time to take care of your spirit,
Mm-hmm.
and to encourage, that's one of those things that I think we need to have a better understanding about too, is to have true balance. We got to understand we're that 3-part being. We have a spirit, we have a mind, we live in a body.
Yeah.
And we got to feed each one accordingly.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe share a little bit more with us as far as, that kind of a routine. Like, what's a good routine for us to have that, makes us a better person, that keeps
So,
us motivated?
yeah, so you brought up a very good point. And because of what you said, I'm going to lay out how important it is for you to have a daily routine. John Maxwell. John Maxwell is one of my favorite speakers and teachers.
Mine too.
Yeah. And he said a statement that I've never forgotten. He said, "The secret to your success is finding your daily routine." And what that means to me is, to your point, you have different parts of your physiology, different parts of yourself that needs to be fed. And when one of those areas are not fed as much, then what happens is you're out of balance.
Mm-hmm.
And once you're out of balance, you have a void there. And what usually fill those void are things like burnout, anxiety, depression, unfulfillment, vanity. All these things feel you not being able to take care of all your all of your aspects of your physiology. So what are those things? It's your social self. It's your physical self. It's your intellectual self, your mind, as you talked about earlier. It's your creative self, your emotional self. All these are different aspects of yourself that you must learn to feed on a regular basis. So for me, myself, I was doing this long before I realized what I was even doing. And I get up in the morning at 4:30, 5:30 in the morning, and I feed my intellectual self and I feed my spiritual self. I meditate. I read my Bible. I pray. I write my goals down. I read a book, or I listen to a book or a podcast or an interview or something that's going to feed my intellectual self. I immerse myself somewhere in nature or somewhere out in the open where I can meet other individuals and feed myself socially. So I'm constantly feeding myself on all areas so that I'm not out of balance, so that I don't experience anxiety or depression or all these things that can come my way as a result of me being deficient in a specific area. So all these things are things that are needed, necessary, and vital that we weren't taught in school. But that's okay. I'm giving you the game. I'm giving you the tools now that you may understand that some of the things that you may be experiencing right now as to why, or some things that you can start doing right now to prevent you from going that route. Because burnout is a real thing. And you don't want to get to a point to where you just don't have it in you anymore. Burnout is when think of yourself of being a glass of water. And each time that you give, you're pouring more of that water out. Burnout is when there's no more water left to pour, but you're still pouring. And that's not a place where you want to be. And you don't have to be.
And it's something that, we learn, especially in the scripture, right? Where, we need to keep ourselves full. Well,
Yep.
and how did Jesus do that? He went and prayed, right?
Yep.
He took time out to sync up with his Father, and to, one of the things that Jesus always said too is, what I do what I see my Father do. I say what I see my Father say, right? He spent time filling up so then he could pour out.
Yes.
So why should we be any different?
Exactly.
Right? I mean, let's take a lesson from everyone, like from Jesus, from whoever else. You mentioned John Maxwell. Like, get some people in your life that can mentor you, that can coach you, that you can learn from. I mean, Les Brown's a good example, too, for us. Like, I've watched all kinds of stuff with Les, watched all kinds of stuff with John Maxwell, Bob Proctor. You need to fill yourself, right, with all of the right things, so that now you can go help others. Go ahead.
Even in what you said with following Jesus, when he said he went to his Father, if you notice, he did the same thing. He got up early. He got up before everybody else was up and went. What is so significant about getting up early? I'll tell you. You have the opportunity to limit distractions when you get up before everybody else. Before the phone starts ringing, before the sun starts rising, before the traffic starts, it's just you and God. And for me, myself personally, I don't even get into my phone the first half hour to hour of my day. No social media, no text messages, no emails, none of that. And it's so fulfilling to where you have that space to where it's just you, or just you and God, and you can actually learn to feed yourself up first so that you can pour out, as you just stated.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you say that, because there was an actual study that was done that within those first 20 to 30 minutes when we get up, we are the most like cognizant aware or whatever, where everything that we're taking in for that time really like gets inside of us, and it builds the rest of our day too.
It's called a theta state of mind. Correct. Yep.
So it's just, I mean, what we're sharing here, right, is basic fundamental principles. Like, if you take action, if you do these things, like getting up early, spending time on the Word, praying, meditating, whatever else, feeding your intellect, and doing all of these things, like what we're talking about, I mean, it's going to change your life.
Yep.
It's going to impact you for the better. You'll be more motivated. You're going to be able to help people, right? And all of these things, it's just going to kind of be like an avalanche, right? It's just going to start rushing and building and more and more and more, and it's going to gain power. right?
But I want to point out something extremely important though. It's not about doing it one time or 3 times. It's about the consistency.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that look like, Andre? I'm going to tell you what that looks like. If you have a goal to, let's say your goal is to, most people trying to lose. Let's say you have a goal to lose 30 pounds. And you go to the gym and you work out real hard for 3 hours straight, no breaks. How much did you really lose? Probably nothing. Probably nothing. But let's say you just went to the gym consistently for just 20 minutes a day. And you were intentional about those 20 minutes. Then you're going, and in those 20 minutes, let's say those same 20 minutes added up to those same 3 hours that you did at one time. I guarantee you're going to see more results over those 20 minutes every day versus that one time 3 hours, because it's a compound effect. It's the consistency of doing it on a regular day-to-day basis. So you may not see any results the first time or the second time or the third time, but if you keep doing it, the results will show, and you'll be able to look up and say, man, my life is different and I feel so much more fulfilling.
That's right. Well, that's how we either create a habit or break one. Yeah. Right? Consistency. Consistency is key.
Yep.
And we need that in everything that we do. Because if we don't, then we are going to fail, right? But knowing we can get back up, knowing that we have people like you, Andre, around us to help encourage us, to help us keep motivated. I mean, I think that's the best thing of all, right? So tell us a little bit more, just closing us out here, about how to get in touch with you, any of your other upcoming projects. Tell us.
Absolutely. So again, my name is Andre Notice. I am very easy to find. You can actually Google me. I am Googleable. How about that? You can Google me. You can go to andrenotice.com and find out. You can find my socials, my real estate page, publications that I've done, all kinds of stuff. I have a brand new website that'll be coming out soon this year. So I'm excited about that as well. I'll be combining everything that I do on one website. So I'm pretty excited about that hub. What I have coming up, I just got accepted to continue in the Great American Speak-Off. So I'll be speaking in a competition next month in December in Miami. So I'm excited about that. We're working with Grant Cardone and Pete Vargas for that competition. So I'm excited about that. And I will be doing another session of my coaching program. The basis of my coaching is I want to help those employees that feel unfulfilled, unhappy, unsatisfied, help them ditch their 9-to-5 so they can live for themselves and be alive. So if you want to make that transition from employee to entrepreneurship, or if you're just looking to grow in other areas of your life, looking to change your mental state, change the way that you think about yourself or talk about yourself, using those affirmations. If you want to change from wherever you are right now and just be a better you, then that's what this course is about. So I'm extremely excited about doing that again. It's a 6-week program, 2 hours per week, and it's hands-on, it's interactive. So I'm not just telling you what to do, we're doing it together. And at the end of the program, you're a different person. So I'm excited about that as well.
Great. Well, hey, thanks so much, man. I appreciate you. It was great having you here. We're definitely going to have you back here another time. And everyone, don't forget, we'll have more details about our upcoming book here that we're going to do together. And it's going to be a book for men, but about our faith, about business, and how we balance out those things. And we're looking forward to it. So I hope you are too. And until next time, be blessed.
Follow Donato on Facebook and LinkedIn at Donato Parisi, or go to donatomotivates.com. Remember, you can be anything you want and desire. All you have to do is get motivated.